Tomorrowland is one of those films that I feel definitely needs more than one viewing to fully absorb every aspect of it. And I'm pleased to say that it's actually really good and definitely worth more than one viewing. The film was released in 2015, directed by Brad Bird and written by Bird and Damon Lindelof, and stars George Clooney and Britt Robertson and Hugh Laurie. I love Hugh Laurie. So the casting, straight away, definitely something that I was very interested in. The narrative is really compelling, but it's the visual that makes it brilliant. So the description from IMDb is as follows. Bound by a shared destiny, a bright, optimistic teen bursting with scientific curiosity and a former bored genius inventor jaded by disillusionment embarks on a danger-filled mission to unearth the secrets of an enigmatic place somewhere in time and space that exists only in collective memory as Tomorrowland. Yeah, the film is quite as complicated as it sounds. Maybe if you're a die-hard sci-fi fan and watch sci-fi all the time, you will get on board with this pretty quickly, but it takes a couple of a good couple of minutes to kind of just go with the flow for a bit. But I love that concept. I love the idea of Tomorrowland and there being this place as beautiful as this in memory. And I think it's a really compelling idea and a really fascinating narrative and really well executed, although it is quite complex and has a lot to it. And the same is said for the CGI. The design of Tomorrowland is beautiful. Now, the narrative itself is not something I necessarily was bothered about in terms of development. I loved the concept, I wanted to learn more about Tomorrowland, but I wasn't really bothered about how they got from A to B to C. But it was still fascinating to watch. I feel like there were bits of the plot that I maybe didn't fully absorb because I was so mesmerised by the beauty of the design and the CGI and just how visually compelling the whole thing was. I think the plot may be even more complicated than I kind of feel like it was. So it's definitely a film that I will watch again. I will be very happy to watch it again. My regret is that I didn't watch it on the big screen. I think that would have been a really incredible experience, just the first time seeing this on the big screen, because it really is stunning. It is an absolutely stunning film, and whoever was in charge of CGI and editing has just created an absolute masterpiece to look at. It really is a visual achievement, and more than that, in fact. I'm surprised it wasn't nominated for a billion Oscars with that regard, but never mind, what can you do? Casting is great, acting is great. I particularly like Hugh Laurie as Nix in this, but George Clooney as Frank is really brilliant. There isn't anything about this that I would change. I don't want to say I wish it was easier to understand with a first viewing, because I don't want to dumb the film down. It's not the film's fault that I'm not the biggest sci-fi fan and don't necessarily keep up with all of the technical terms. All that means is that I should watch it again. Which I will, I definitely will. The sound effects are good, the music's good. None of it stood out particularly as being anything amazing, but it also wasn't bad. Visually, for me, is absolutely the pull factor. The narrative's very fascinating, a great concept. The execution is an absolute joy to watch. It's worth mentioning that this film is actually based on the idea of the original concept for Epcot. I just learned what Epcot actually stands for. Experimental Prototype City of Tomorrow. You learn something new. Which I think is a really interesting idea. It's very much Disney within Disney. Very futuristic. It's brilliant. There's so much to it though. It's not a one-time watch film. And that doesn't bother me at all because I think it's beautiful. If you saw it twice in the cinema, let me know. That'd be really interesting to find out. Obviously, I didn't see it in the cinema. I missed that boat. And even though it's long, it's over 2 hours, and I have a very short attention span, I feel like I actually would have managed to sit through this one without ever losing my mind or losing attention. I kind of lost my mind a little bit at several points because of how involved it is and immersive. It is fully immersive. This in 3D would have been amazing. Tomorrowland is fabulous. If you haven't seen it, I think it's a film everybody needs to see. It is a brilliant achievement.